I know we have some friends here joining us from the States, which is awesome. As Megan was saying, that's one of the benefits of hosting virtual training sessions, is that we're able to reach out to a much larger audience. And I am happy to say that a number of the webinars that we've actually been running since COVID hit, we've actually had participation from all over the world. So welcome to our friends from the South. Some of this information might or will not be applicable to you because we are going to talk specifically about some of the Brampton licensing requirements and regulations that are involved in getting started in business. But I do know that in the States, and I just quickly looked it up, there's the small business development centers, and I believe they're located all across the states, and they probably operate very similar to the Brampton Entrepreneur Center. I see we have someone from Kingston as well. Also, we have our partners from across the province. There is a location out in the Kingston area as well. So while some of the information will be a little bit Brampton focused or specific, a lot of the information will be applicable to you, and we encourage you to connect with your small business center in the area that you're located, and that way you can get that next level support. So I'm actually going to stop my video.
Jennifer, can I just do a little background information?
Yeah, of course, 100%.
Yeah, so before we get into the main presentation, I'm Megan and I'm from the Brampton Library. So I'm really happy that Jennifer from the Brampton Entrepreneur Center is joining us today. Before we begin, we would like to acknowledge that Jennifer and I are gathering here today on the treaty territory of the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation, and before them, the traditional territory of the Haudenosaunee, Huron, and Wendat. We also acknowledge the many First Nations, Métis, Inuit, and other global Indigenous people that now call Brampton their home. We are honored to live, work, and enjoy this land. So as I mentioned to some people when you first started coming in, just so you're aware, this is being live streamed to Facebook, and we're also recording it with the intention of posting it on our YouTube channel later on. So if you want to turn on your camera, that's fine. If you're not comfortable, you can turn it off by just clicking stop video at the bottom. And in terms of your microphone, I do ask that you just turn your microphone off while Jennifer is giving the presentation so that there's no background noise. And then there will be an opportunity to ask questions at the end, and you can unmute yourself at that point, or you can type it into the chat. And if you're watching us on Facebook Live, please feel free to write any questions that you have in the comments. And I'll keep an eye on that, so we'll definitely get back to you. So throughout the presentation, if I just hear anybody's making some noise in the background, I'll go ahead and mute you. It's nothing personal, but when it comes time to the question and answer period later, again, you can unmute yourself. Also, for those of us joining us on WebEx, on the lower left-hand side, you'll see a closed caption icon. If you need it, you can click on that, and this presentation can be closed captioned for you. So those of us joining us from Brampton or Peel region, I'll just let you know that the Brampton Library is 3 branches, 4 corners, Springfield, and Cousy are open for limited in-branch services. So our browsing collection isn't open, but you can come and visit us for Wi-Fi use and printing and study space. All other branches are open for curbside service right now as well. We have some upcoming programs. So we have our monthly trivia that's happening this Thursday evening at 7 o'clock. This Saturday at 1 p.m., we're also partnering with Fix It Clinic and Repair Cafe Toronto to host a virtual repair cafe. So if you have anything that you need to repair, then you can register for that. And there's a whole bunch. We have almost 100 coaches who are signed up from around the world. People come from Europe and the States and Canada, all over the place, even Australia, to help people to fix their things so we can reduce the amount of junk that goes into landfills, turn what we think is junk into usable stuff for us to continue with. So, and then finally, this how to start a small business as part of a how-to series that we're hosting this fall. There's one more left, which is happening on December 8th at 2 p.m., which is how to protect yourself online. So I'll post our Brampton Library Eventbrite page so you can register for some more of that if you'd like. And also there's a separate registration for the Repair Cafe, which I'll post all of that in the chat as well.
Sorry about that.
So, sorry, what was that, Dwayne?
Oh, I just had some difficulty, so I rejoined.
Okay, no problem. Dwayne, I might end up muting you if there's background noise just while Vivian's giving her presentation, and we'll have questions at the end.
Okay.
All right. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Jennifer Vivian. Jennifer has over 15 years of experience working in economic development in the municipal sector. She is known for her energy, optimism, and strong belief in pursuing the things you are most passionate about. She has spent her career consulting with entrepreneurs to develop comprehensive business support services to further their goals and navigate the waters of entrepreneurship. She feels it's crucial to surround entrepreneurs with a great team of professionals and provide them with programming to enable their success. There is nothing more rewarding for her than helping entrepreneurs explore their passion and contributing to the economic growth in Brampton. So with that, I will pass the floor over to Jennifer.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And welcome to our Started Up webinar, How to Start a Small Business. Earlier, some of the content is focused specifically around Brampton and some of the resources that are available to you, your Brampton resident. But most of the information will be applicable no matter where you're located. So we're glad you could join us this evening. I am just having trouble here. There we go. So the Brampton Entrepreneur Center, for those of you that are not familiar with our organization, we're a one-stop source of information and resources to help individuals start and grow a small business. We're actually part of a large network of small business centers. There's actually 47 of us all across the province of Ontario, and we all offer the same support, access to grants, programs, webinars, you name it. So if you're not from Brampton and you're from another part of Ontario, please reach out to us at brampton.ca/Beck. You can access all of our contact information, and we can help connect you with the small business center in the city or town that you're from. So right now, unfortunately, due to COVID, our physical office is closed, but we've actually moved everything online. So we're able to continue to support businesses through our virtual services. So right now, we're offering free business advisory services that can be pre-booked online at brampton.ca/skip-the-line. And this is a free service that we offer where you get 20 to 30 minutes with one of our business advisors to discuss any questions that you have about starting or growing a business. We also offer a robust schedule of business training, mentoring, and workshops. So one of the best ways to stay kind of in the loop as to things that we have up and coming is to go to our website, brampton.ca/Beck, and subscribe to our newsletter. With everything that's happening with COVID, things are happening so rapidly, and there's constantly new programs and offerings being made available to entrepreneurs, aspiring entrepreneurs, as well as those that are in business. So that's one of the best ways to stay on top of everything that we have up and coming, is to subscribe to our newsletter or follow us on any of our social channels. We also run 2 entrepreneurship funding programs on behalf of the province of Ontario. I am going to speak to those a little bit later in the presentation when we talk about funding. But for those of you that might be familiar with Summer Company and Starter Company Plus, those are 2 programs that we do offer in Brampton for Brampton-based entrepreneurs. Professional development and networking opportunities are obviously very, very important for any entrepreneur. We recognize that networking definitely has a new look and feel now since we can't get together in person. So we are looking at opportunities to provide more virtual networking and peer-to-peer mentoring. Part do is to help businesses understand and provide guidance on the various permits, regulations, and other startup requirements. Because at the end of the day, we want to ensure that businesses that are opening in our city are doing it the right way and don't run into issues down the road where they might have forgotten to get a building permit or a sign permit, or didn't realize that they needed to get a municipal license. So we do know that there's a lot of information available to you and things that you can find online. But one of the services that we do provide is just providing that guidance, specifically walking you through the different permits and licenses that you might need. And again, we're going to talk a little bit more about the regulatory issues that people might run into when they're starting a business. We also offer leading edge information, resources, templates, support with market research. One of the unique services that we offer in BAC is site selection support. So for those of you that might be looking for a commercial or industrial location for your business, we can help you find suitable locations. Yes, you may want to work with a realtor, but we can help with the research side. So if you want to, let's say, run a site selection report of commercial plazas in a specific area of Brampton based on your target audience for your business, we can help you find suitable locations. And then the last point on this slide is co-working. And unfortunately with COVID, we've actually had to close our co-working space. The Brampton Entrepreneur Center is located in downtown Brampton. We're in a beautiful 4,500 square foot facility. And one of the great services that we were offering pre-COVID was free access to co-working. So this is a place where you can meet like-minded individuals, work. One of the challenges that I'm definitely facing right now is that I am working from home, and it can be very isolating. There's lots of distractions at your house. So the co-working space is really a place for people to get out of the house, to be able to collaborate and network with like-minded individuals. And we provide free internet access, access to meeting rooms. So it really is a wonderful space that we're hoping will be able to reopen later in 2021. It's looking likely that it'll probably be April, but definitely keep in contact with us so that we can update you on the status of our reopening. So this is the team at the Brampton Entrepreneur Center. There's myself. We have Daniel Bishan, who's our business advisor. He focuses on supporting businesses that are established. We have Lisa Rossetti and Ashley, who are our business associates, and they work primarily with our startup clients. And then we have Oyen and Sharon, who are interns, and they support us primarily with marketing. So moving along, just to kind of go over an agenda for this presentation, you're not going to learn obviously everything that you need to know in terms of starting a business in this 1 hour webinar. It simply would be impossible. So if you have any specific questions, I know that you can type them into the chat box, or we will take them up at the end. Feel free to email us too if there's something that you need help with, and happy to get back to you. I also suggest if there's, not everyone is going to be comfortable asking their questions in a public format. So as I'd mentioned on the previous slide, we do have the offer of the free business consultation. So if there is specific questions that you have, maybe you don't want to necessarily talk about your idea in a public space, feel free to book that appointment with one of the advisors, and it is a free and confidential meeting. So tonight we're going to look at whether or not you're ready to be an entrepreneur. We're going to learn about the steps involved in starting a business. At the end, we're going to have some time for Q&A. We do have just an hour. Sometimes we do go a little bit longer. It just depends on the number of questions that we get this evening. So it sounds like the majority of you are probably looking to start a business, and some of you might already an existing business and might be looking at exploring ways to pivot your operations. Just so you know, you're actually in really good company, because every year close to 100,000 new businesses are started in Canada. Small business is considered big business, as it accounts for 50% of all jobs created in Canada, and 90% of all the businesses in Brampton are actually classified as small. So are you ready to be an entrepreneur? So for those of you that might be exploring entrepreneurship for the first time, there's really great self-assessment tool that you can access through BDC. So BDC is actually the Business Development Bank Canada. If you go to bdc.ca, this is where you can access this tool. It really is a helpful tool to help you really understand your strengths and weaknesses. We recognize that we all have skills that are complementary to an entrepreneur, but it's important to know what your weaknesses and strengths are so that you get an understand of where you might need additional support or coaching. And when you get that coaching, you'll be able to realize your full potential. So it will probably take you a couple minutes to go through. The questionnaire is about 15 minutes. Like they say, it should take about 10 minutes to complete. It's important to remember there are no right or wrong answers. Your honest opinion is what is important. Not entrepreneurship isn't right for everybody, but this self-assessment tool will really kind of help you dive into those entrepreneurial traits, motivations, aptitudes, and attitudes. So we hear it all the time, wouldn't it be great to be your own boss? But remember, it's not for everyone. So before you take this huge step, take some time to find out if you have what it takes. You need to understand that there's benefits, but there's also challenges of entrepreneurship, and you need to learn about your chances for success. No one opens a business to fail. However, on average, we see approximately 7 out of 10 businesses that will fail. And unfortunately, given the current situation, we expect that this number is probably going to be even higher. Remember that in the early stages, you're going to wear a lot of hats. You're not only the owner and operator of the business, you're the marketing manager, the sales representative, your customer service, you're the janitor, the list goes on. In the early stages of any business, cash flow is always an issue. So we always recommend that you try to stick with what you're best at and delegate the things that you aren't good at or have time for to those with that specific skill set. And that definitely could mean hiring a bookkeeper to help you with managing the books of your business if numbers aren't your strong suit. Again, this completely depends on your financial situation. We recognize that not every individual that's looking at starting a business to have the cash flow available to them to get the support, but definitely realize that it is important and that sometimes these experts can save a lot of time and energy down the road. So in terms of choosing the right idea for your business, we recognize obviously that there are a lot of great ideas. The first thing that you want to think about is definitely looking at solving a problem. If you look at every single type of business out there, if we look at the new apps or subscription-based services, they're all very similar, but they definitely all solve a problem, and every business has a unique selling proposition or something that sets them apart or makes them different or able to offer that service or product better. You should definitely consider a business based on your interest and desire, recognizing that when starting a business, you're going to spend a lot of hours working on it. So it definitely needs to be something that you are interested in, something that you're passionate about, something that you love to do. There is that saying where if you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life. Well, that's really kind of what you want to think about when you're thinking about an idea for your business. You also want to look at skill and education. You would never open a graphic design business if you had never taken any type of course or class or certification in that particular area. Definitely want to look at your skill and education to make sure that you have the skill sets or the educational background in order to run that business. Experience is also very important. We see a number of entrepreneurs that come to us on any given day. A great example of this is people always want to get in the food industry. They want to open a restaurant because they love to cook, which is great. It could work, but at the end of the day, maybe spend some time working in a restaurant so that you understand the operations and the hours and all the little details that go into operating that kind of business. So before you get started, definitely make sure that you have experience. And that's one thing too that banks will look at if you ever decide to approach them for financing, is they are going to want to see a business plan, but they definitely want to potentially see a copy of your resume because they want to see transferable skills and industry experience. Lifestyle is also very important. So making sure the kind of life that you want to continue living makes sense for the type of business that you're starting. So someone that goes into retail in a shopping mall, you're working 7 days a week, most likely 12 hours a day, and you're not going to get time off for holidays because you have to open on the days and times that the mall wants you to. So lifestyle is definitely something to take into consideration. And then capital as well. So do you have the money that you're going to need in order to start the business? And do you have the ability to access that capital? Obviously, feasibility is going to be important. So we're going to talk a little bit about market research, but really there should be demand for your product or service. And at the end of the day, it needs to be profitable because no one starts a business to lose money or to break even. You definitely are starting a business because you want to make money. The other thing to consider too is your limitations, which usually connects to government regulations. So recognizing that not every single business is just simple to get started. There are certain types of businesses that are heavily regulated and can require additional licensing, permits, zoning requirements, inspections, name it. So there could be limitations based on the type of business that you're looking to start, but we are going to dive into that a little bit further. So one of the first things that you should do is definitely look at conducting market research. And market research action or activity of gathering information about consumers' needs and preferences. So when you're conducting market research, there's two types of data that you're going to be collecting. And we look at those as primary data and secondary data. So primary data is as data that you're collecting from potential customers. So this could be, surveys, focus groups. I would like to think that for those of you that might already be in business, that might be looking at ways at pivoting your operations, primary market research or primary data is going to be very important data for you to collect. So I'm sure we've all at some point or another filled out a survey or when we're checking out at Old Navy, let's say they ask for your postal code. I mean, that's a business's way of collecting primary data from their customers. It's a great way of being able to pull that information direct from the customers that you're targeting. So like I said, surveys are a great way of gathering this information, and there's lots of great tools available to you. So SurveyMonkey, Survey Gizmo, Constant Contact. There's a number of different survey platforms that you can definitely use to help you collect this data. And then there are also focus groups. And focus groups is something that we use here in the Entrepreneur Center. It's, meeting with clients or getting our target clients together in a room or on a Zoom call to really talk about the types of services or specific programming that entrepreneurs are looking for. So that way, when we're designing programming or we're looking at rolling out a new seminar, we're basing those decisions on the needs of the client and not what we think or assume. In terms of secondary data, that's data that you're collecting from existing sources. So primary data sometimes can be costly because you might actually have to spend some money to use some of these tools, whereas secondary data is typically free. Access that information through Stats. The city of Brampton, we have a research team. So if you're looking for, let's say you're looking at setting up an ethnic grocery store, our research team can help pull stats that might be related to that particular industry. Industry associations are also get secondary data. So if you're starting an event planning business, connect with the Event Planning Association of Ontario or Canada to see if they can provide you industry-specific stats. Megan, I don't know if you want to jump in, but I'm sure the library probably has a number of free resources. I know that we typically refer clients to the Brampton Library website because by having a library card gives you access to some of the tools that might be available to you.
Yeah, absolutely. We do. So, of course, we have lots of online resources, and there is a business section in our e-resources on our e-resources webpage. So I'm just going there now, and I will post it in the chat box here for folks to see, and I'll also post it on the Facebook Live comment section. But we have, business plans handbook, Scott's directory, and then links to, of course, the Brampton Entrepreneur Center, and some other government organizations. So I can definitely put that link there. Thanks.
Great, thank you. Thought this was a great opportunity to give a little plug to the library. So if you don't have a Brampton Library card, definitely get one, because by having a card gives you access to a number of amazing online tools. Most of these online resources available through our library are also similar tools that are available through other libraries, I'm assuming across Canada or even in the States. So definitely connect with your local library branch to see if they can provide you with information. The other website that I want to point out is canadabusiness.ca. So Canada Business is our federal partner, the Economic Development Agency of Southern Ontario. Canada Business has a lot of amazing resources. They have thousands of documents translated in different languages related to every single topic that you could imagine when you're thinking about starting a business. But one of the services that Canada Business offers is a free secondary market research service. So you can actually reach out to them and they can help you access some of that secondary data that you might be looking for. So in terms of like demographics or industry statistics, they definitely have access to StatsCan data and data that you might have to pay for if you were to go look for it yourself. So go to canadabusiness.ca and do a search for their secondary market research service. Again, they are a great wealth of information, or you can reach out to us directly at BEC, and we can connect you with one of our research assistants who would be able to help you pull Brampton-based stats. Step when you're thinking about starting a business is to really understand the different government regulations and licensing. There are a lot, so I do want to just kind of touch on some of the areas. So when we're looking at licensing or regulations related to starting a business, you have municipal licensing, which in Brampton is obviously run through the City of Brampton's licensing bylaw. So in Brampton, there are a couple different things you want to consider. One is the city actually has a home-based business bylaw that states the types of businesses that you are able to run from your house and the different rules that you have to follow if you're looking at running a home-based business. So that would be something to consider for sure if you're thinking about starting a business from home. There's also a variety of miscellaneous business types that might require a business license. So example of this would be personal services. So if you're an esthetician, you're looking at opening a nail salon, tattoo parlor falls under that. So those types of businesses need additional licensing, as well as anything in the food industry, general contractors, taxi drivers. So the best thing to do is actually go to the City of Brampton's website. You can pull a list of all the different licenses you might need in order to get started. The city also looks at zoning. So just because you see a location in a commercial plaza that you like, that you want to start a business in, doesn't necessarily mean that you are able to run that particular business. So the city does have zoning requirements, and the best thing to do is to reach out to our team or reach out to zoning specifically before you sign any type of lease. You want to make sure that the type of business that you're looking to start is zoned and permitted for that kind of use at that location. I can't tell you how many times businesses have come to us after you've signed a 3-year lease and spent a lot of money, only to find out afterwards that the city has said to them that that particular type of business cannot operate out of that location. So do your due diligence, connect with us. That's one of the reasons why we encourage anyone looking to start a business to reach out to our team, because at the end of the day, you want to make sure you're doing things correctly, and that will hopefully save you a lot of money down the road. In terms of regional licensing, that's done in Peel region through the region of Peel, and this is all related to anything health. So restaurants need to go through the region of Peel food health inspection. Same thing with spas, tattoo parlors, anything that is health related. You could end up needing additional approvals from the regional level in order to operate. In terms of provincial licensing, this is usually acts of provincial parliament. There could be different provincial acts that might affect your business. And then certification. So for example, hairstylists, barbers need to be certified. Massage therapists need to be, it's a regulated industry. Before you start, you need to make sure that you have the proper certification. And then again, at the federal level, there could be certification that could prohibit you from operating a specific type of business. So again, reach out to us if there's anything that you're unsure about. And just to add to that, there is a tool called BizPal. BIZPAL. If you go to bizpal.ca, you can actually pull up a listing of all the different municipalities that are subscribed to this service. And one of the great things about BizPal is it's a tool that actually will help you navigate all the different licenses and permits that you might need to start your business. So it's answering kind of a questionnaire, and what that tool does is it'll help you identify the different permits that you might need. But again, you're going to want to do your due diligence, recognizing that sometimes these tools don't cover everything, and it'll be important for you to make sure that you've explored all the different permits that you might need to get started. There are a number of other areas that you're going to want to look at in terms of licensing and regulations. So things like taxation. Canada Revenue Agency is where you go to register for some of these things. So Canada Revenue Agency registers for HST, payroll deductions if you are hiring any employees, import-export. So for anyone that's looking at getting into the import-export industry or business, and then corporate income tax number for those that are looking at setting up a corporation. In terms of import-export, for anyone that's looking at potentially importing goods into Canada or might be looking at exporting, there are some things that you're going to need to consider through the Canada Border Services Agency, because sometimes there are restrictions on the types of products that you can bring into the country and you can export. I think one of the important things to note, just before I go any further, is that yes, we're not going to be able to cover in this 1 hour webinar. We do run regularly webinars and different sessions on a number of these topics. So Revenue Canada does run a webinar for us on just understanding how HST works, how payroll deductions works, how you can get an import-export number. We also have some sessions coming up specifically on first steps to importing and first steps to exporting. And these are like 2-hour-long webinars, so there's a lot of information that we could definitely dive into. I think the important thing that you need to consider as you're starting a business is that there are requirements and that we do offer additional support in some of these areas. Intellectual property is a body through, again, the government that deals with copyrights, patents, and trademarks. So if you're thinking about going through process of trademarking a logo, or you have an idea or an invention that you're looking to patent, Canada Intellectual Property Office, also known as CIPO, is where you would go to get additional information on intellectual property. Insurance, obviously something that every business owner needs to consider. The best thing for you to do before getting started is, again, do your research, connect with an insurance broker or agent to explain the type of business that you're looking to start and to get suggestions on the types of business insurance that you might want to look at getting. Commercial general liability insurance is the most common type of insurance that a business needs in order to get started. And commercial general liability insurance is also a requirement for a number of licenses that you might need to get from the municipal government. So for example, if you're looking at starting a food-based business, maybe a restaurant, before you can get the food handler's license or the food establishment license, the city does require proof that you do have commercial general liability insurance, and typically they're looking for up to $2 million coverage. WSIB is another form of insurance. WSIB is something that is mandatory for you to register for if you have employees. If you have individuals on your payroll, WSIB is an insurance that you will need to get. You pay premiums based on the type of business that you're starting and the type of work that your employees will be doing. And WSIB is basically insurance should the employee get injured on the job. So that way, if they end up having to take time off, WSIB covers their wages while they have to take time off to recover. And the last item I want to talk about is CASL, and this is the Canadian Anti-Spam Legislation. So when you're starting a business, you're probably going to start collecting a database of information. You're probably going to have a newsletter, but it is important to look into CASL as you want to make sure that any email communication that you have with your potential customers or clients, you actually have the approval in order to be able to communicate with them. So CASL is something that every business needs to look into. That is one of the reasons why we use a tool like Constant Contact, so that people are actually having to subscribe and give consent for us to be able to send them email communications. So those of you that are starting a business, you might not be thinking about employing staff right at the very beginning, but as your business grows or as you think your business is going to grow, you definitely need to determine your business staffing requirements. And there's a number of different areas to consider when you are hiring somebody for the first time. So WSIB, obviously, number one, we just spoke about that. So if you are thinking about hiring, you're going to want to reach out to WSIB to get an idea as to the premiums that you're going to pay. You're definitely going to have to register for a business number, and this is a business account with Canada Revenue Agency. And what they will do is they set up a payroll deductions account so that you're able to collect things like CPP, income tax, all those things. So for those of you that are from the States, I don't know the payroll or tax requirements for hiring an employee, so definitely reach out to your Small Business Development Center to see if they can provide you with some guidance. The other important thing to think about when you're preparing your staffing requirements is making sure that you have employment contracts and job descriptions. So that's one of the things that when people are starting a business, typically they're going to work as the owner of the business. They're going to work in a number of different roles in that business, and that will really give them an understanding of the types of employee that they might need to hire in order to take their business to the next level. The other thing that you want to consider when you are thinking about hiring staff is that in Canada, you have the option of hiring somebody as an employee versus hiring somebody on a subcontractor. And the Canada Revenue Agency has some very specific guidelines as to when somebody is considered self-employed or a contractor versus someone that would be considered an employee. There is a really great document if you go to the Canada Revenue Agency website called Employee versus Self-Employed, and it has some really great information and guidance as to when somebody would actually be considered an employee. And this is something that you're really going to want to look into, because there are a number of businesses out there that will bring individuals on as contractors when in fact, based on the guidelines provided by Canada Revenue Agency, they actually are an employee or should be set up as an employee. And there can be some significant fines and penalties that you end up having to pay if you are in fact caught. So like I said, if you're thinking about hiring employees, you're not sure if you want to bring somebody on as an employee or a self-employed individual, definitely reach out to Canada Revenue Agency. Again, they have lots of great resources available on their website, and you can access this guide, and it will really help you understand whether or not the role that you're trying to fill is considered an employee versus self-employed. We recognize too that when you're hiring employees, it can be difficult. So sometimes business owner will reach out to an HR consulting firm to help them with that process. And I think it's also important to remember that there are a number of wage subsidy programs that are available to individuals that are thinking about hiring. So there's subsidy programs that can help subsidize or cover a certain percentage of that particular individual's salary or wage. We're seeing a lot of discussion around wage subsidies right now with COVID because the government is really trying to invest in businesses to help them keep their employees on staff and working. So they're actually providing significant incentives through these wage subsidy programs to help businesses keep their employees working during the COVID crisis. I'm going to make a reference back to canadabusiness.ca. The reason being is that if you're looking for a complete list of all the different wage subsidy programs that are available to you and your business, Canada Business actually has a really great tool. It's a financing tool. And again, it's like a questionnaire. So you're going to go in and answer questions based on where your business is located, who the owner of the business is. Are you from a diverse, are you a women-owned operation? Are you Aboriginal? Are you considered disabled or have a disability? What this tool does is it will generate a search or a list of all the different financing programs that are available to you. One item that probably will come up is a number of these wage subsidy programs. The other programs that you're going to want to tap into if you're thinking about hiring is reaching out to organizations in your community. So in Brampton, we have an organization called they were called the Center for Education and Training. They have 2 locations in Brampton now called Achieve, I believe. They've just rebranded. And they provide support to companies that are looking to hire. So if you're looking to get some free help in terms of writing a job description, or you're unsure of how to go through the interview process and make that selection, they can provide you with a lot of hiring support, which is really important for those of you that might be hiring for the first time. They can also potentially connect you with some of these wage subsidy programs. And I guess the other thing I want to point out is that programs that are being offered to businesses change rapidly. There's always new programs being added. There's new programs that are being modified. They're constantly evolving the different financing programs that are available to you, including these wage subsidy programs. So So again, never pay for information. This information is available to you quite easily by using the Find Financing tool at canadabusiness.ca. And then lastly, in terms of staffing, Ministry of Labour enforces the employment standards within the employment industry. So you're definitely going to want to look up the Ministry of Labour Employment Standards Act. This is an act you will want to follow as it protects you as the employer, but it also protects the employees that you're hiring. And then the other important thing to remember too, that depending on, there could be an additional tax that you need to pay through Canada Revenue Agency called the health tax. And in 2019, I believe it was for companies that had a payroll of at least 490,000. Don't quote me on that. It could have changed. They might have changed it. And again, employees or employers that to hire employees subject to payroll deductions. This is why you definitely want to reach out to Canada Revenue Agency to register for that payroll deductions account. And that will give you the ability to deduct like CPP, EI tax. We talked about WSIB. They have a lot of great resources available on the site. And again, make sure you check out the Canada Revenue Agency's website for the document on employee versus self-employed. We've all heard the term location, location, location. So location really does matter, and it's important that when you are looking for a potential location for your business, that you're choosing the right location. Many businesses enter into long-term leases with their landlords, and it's important that the location that you select makes sense for the business that you're looking to start. So usually when you're getting your business off the ground, try to start small and think bigger over the course of a longer period of time. And that's where writing a business plan can really help you identify where your business potentially could be in the next year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years. It's really going to help you explore some of those what if scenarios, but definitely try your best to keep the business small at first. You might not need that 5,000 square foot location. Perhaps there's a way that you can start smaller. So really identify how much space you need. Do you actually need to open your business in a commercial or industrial location? Could be that the type of business that you're looking to start does not allow you to work from home. So maybe you actually have to look at leasing out a commercial space. But realizing that a great example of this would be somebody that's looking to start a food-based business. So in Brampton or in Peel region, there's restrictions and you are not able to prepare food for resale out of your home. So you have to prepare it in a commercial kitchen. So rather than going to the expense of finding a commercial location and spending thousands of dollars on all the expensive kitchen equipment that you might need, maybe there's a way you can scale back the idea and reach out to, let's say, a restaurant that might be only offering breakfast and lunch service. Maybe their kitchen is not being used in the evening. So this is a really good opportunity for you to kind of think outside the box as to ways that you can comfortably scale and grow your business without having to pay a lot of money up front in order to get your business off the ground. So really identify how much space you need. Is there a way for you to share space, maybe with an existing business, sublet, whatever it may be, but really identify how much space you need and do you need to be in a commercial or industrial location. You operate from home. So again, there is a home-based business bylaw in Brampton that states what you can and cannot do from home. Brampton is definitely encouraging of people to look at starting a business from their home, but there are restrictions as to the types of businesses. So example would be, you couldn't open a car mechanic shop at the house. You can't do anything food related. But let's say you are a bookkeeper and you want to run your home office from your house. that would definitely be allowed. Maybe you want to run a small scale tutoring business. Again, that can be offered or run out of your house, but there could be restrictions that or guidelines that you need to follow in terms of the number of clients that you have in your house at a time. You can't have large signage on the front of your lawn that promotes your business. So there are some home-based rules that you will need to abide by. And if there are any questions or concerns that you have about this, we can definitely connect you with our zoning department who can help to clarify some of that information. Should you buy or should you lease? Obviously, right now we're seeing a lot of people that are entering into leases. Unfortunately, with COVID, there are a number of businesses that are not receiving any type of rent relief from their landlords. There is a new program that's coming out called CERS, and it is similar to the rent relief program that was originally launched by the government, but this new program is basically provides support to the actual business rather than providing that funding to the landlord, who then in turn has to give the relief to the business owner. So I'm thinking that if you are looking at going into a commercial location, in the next couple of years, I'm sure there definitely will be more opportunities. There will definitely be more vacancies, and it might be a really good time for you to negotiate a good lease rate if you are looking at leasing a location. We talked a little bit about zoning earlier, so you definitely want to connect the zoning department before you enter into any kind of lease. And I'm going to give you a really great example. We were working with a client that was looking at opening a hair salon in Brampton, and she found a location in a commercial plaza. It was kind of one of those commercial industrial type areas. It was a perfect location for her business. We were able to provide her with some demographics. We were able to identify that a number of her potential customers or clients was located or lived in that particular area. So in all sense, it did make sense for her to look at that location. Her luck had it that the location that she was looking at was previously used as a hair academy or a hair school. So she thought, great, I don't need to look into zoning. There's already a hair salon that's located in that particular location. She was just about to sign a lease, and she thought, you know what, I better do my due diligence. I better check, better look into this a little bit further. So thankfully, she reached out to us, and we ran some reports on our end and discovered that, in fact, that hair academy that was there before was never allowed to actually be in operation. It did not meet the zoning bylaw. So unfortunately, she put herself in a position where she could have entered into I think she was going to sign a 3 or 4 year lease. Thankfully, she didn't, because what would have happened is she would have ended up leasing that space, and it would have turned into a long legal battle, probably with the real estate agent who was leasing the space, the property owner. It just would have been a very costly mistake. So just because your commercial or residential realtor tells you that it's okay, please, please, please do your due diligence. This is just one example of many where this could have turned out much worse for that particular individual. I guess the other thing to consider in terms of like regulations, this probably falls more under building permits. So I'll give you another example of a company we were working with. They were relocating their cupcake business into a location in the downtown. And again, did their due diligence, zoning was fine. They had to do very, very minimal construction work, but through the building permit process, she quickly realized that the electrical in the building, because the building was so old, needed to be completely upgraded. And again, thank goodness she went through the proper process, went through the proper steps to get the building permit, because this was something that was identified before construction took place, before she signed the lease. And she was able to use this in her negotiations when she was negotiating her lease. So she was able to go to the building owner to say, you know, I really like this location, but unfortunately this building needs a number of upgrades in order for me to operate my business, electrical being one of them. So she was actually able to negotiate a better rate on her lease and was able to get the property owner to help cover the costs of making some of those upgrades. So again, something to consider based on the type of business that you're looking to operate, maybe some of the equipment that you might need to be using. Good to look into the building permit side as well. And then the last important thing is obviously choosing a location based on your target audience. And as I mentioned, as part of the services of the Entrepreneur Center, we do offer site selection service. So we can actually help you find the right location based on zoning and based on who it is that you're looking to target, because we're able to run a lot of that research reporting on the back end to really help you identify some key locations that will work for your type of business that will allow for that permitted usage. So when you're starting a business, you also want to determine your business financing options. And entrepreneurs definitely report that getting financing is definitely one of the most challenging aspects of starting or growing a business. There seems to be a lot of misleading information out there where the government is providing all these different grant programs and there's free money and incentives for me to start a business. That is not necessarily the case. Finding government grants are very, very difficult. And typically the grant programs that are being or are made available in Ontario are tied to training and mentoring and become there's a lot of work involved in sometimes accessing some of these grants, and typically the grants that are made available what we consider micro grants. So you're looking at a couple $1,000s, not necessarily everything that you would need to get started. So in terms of the different types of financing, we've kind of prepared a bit of a chart to help you identify the types of financing that are available. So the first thing you want to look at is yourself. Self-financing, it's money, it's your own funds, it's money that might be lent to you or given to you from friends, family members, people that believe in your idea. There's bank card financing. Obviously, sometimes bank accounts will overdraft. So this might be something that you can access through your banking institution. There's obviously a number of bank financing programs. So this could be a matter of connecting with the bank that you deal with for your personal banking to find out about the different types of bank financing that are available to you. Royal Bank, CIBC, TD, Scotia, they all offer loan programs specifically for small businesses, but they do want to see that you have done your due diligence and that you are able to submit a business plan, and we are going to talk a little bit more about business plans. But the other important thing to remember with bank financing is that banks will never loan you 100% of what you need. They're typically looking at a third. So they want to see that at least a third of the amount that you need is money that you have available and are able to invest in the business. So important to remember that a bank will never loan you 100% of what you need. You might want to look at mortgage refinancing. We don't encourage it. This is definitely an option. Client financing. So this could be for, an example of this would be a purchase order. So let's say you are about to start a business, you have a that's just waiting for you to be able to fulfill their first order. You might be able to get a purchase order from that business, and then you can present that to the bank to say, you know, CIBC, if you loan me this $50,000, I'll be able to place my first order of baseball caps, and I already have a client lined up ready to make that purchase. So sometimes you can use a relationship or a potential business lead as a way to help you access financing from the bank. There's supplier financing. So this would be, you know, if you're looking at buying inventory for your business, you might be able to get on a different payment term with that supplier. So it might be, you know, if you buy, you know, these 100 pairs of running shoes, you can pay the supplier back in 90 days. So this gives you an opportunity to generate some sales, to generate some revenue so that you're able to pay that supplier back. There's investment capital. So again, this is finding someone to invest in your business. Investment capital, a great example of this is, you know, the show The Dragon's Den. These are business owners that have a lot of money that are looking to invest in businesses that have the ability to really scale and grow. Obviously, one of the disadvantages to that is that you're giving up a percentage of your company in exchange for their investment. You might want to look at fundraising, or also known as co-financing. So this is where your business becomes financed by institutions. There could be leasing. So a great example of this would be someone that's getting into the restaurant industry. There's lots of great opportunities to lease your kitchen equipment versus buying it outright. So for anyone that is entering into a business where you might need significant or might need to make a significant investment into equipment, leasing that equipment instead of buying it outright might be a good option for you. And then lastly, there's crowdfunding. So this is generating money through idea interest. We actually have had a number of clients that have been successful in a funding campaign through Indiegogo or GoFundMe. There's a number of different crowdfunding platforms that you can use to generate money to help you launch your business idea through an idea that you might have. So I just wanted to provide a bit of a chart that gives you some options for alternative sources of financing. So the first link there is the Canada Business, which I've spoken to you about. So definitely check out that page and use their Find Financing tool to access up-to-date and current listings of all the different grants, loans, tax credits, wage subsidies, and all the different programs that you might be eligible for. Business Development Bank of Canada, while they specifically deal with business loans, you can definitely reach out to the bank that you already deal with for your personal banking. That is something that actually we recommend most of our entrepreneurs do as a starting point. If you are looking at accessing bank financing, go to your bank that you already deal with for your personal banking. Bank already has a relationship with you. They already know your personal history. It might be easier for you to access a business loan through your existing bank than by establishing a new relationship with BDC. That being said, BDC has a lot of great tools and resources available on their website, including the entrepreneurial self-assessment tool that we talked about in the first slide. Access Community Capital is actually an organization based out of Toronto that provides microloans of up to $15,000 now. They're low interest loans. Access is, they basically loan money to individuals that are thinking about starting a business that might have difficulty accessing financing through a traditional source. So for a newcomer to Canada that might not have any established credit, that might have difficulty accessing any type of credit through a bank, Access Community Capital is definitely the first place you're going to want to. They will loan money to individuals thinking about starting a business. And like I said, for anyone that might have difficulty or run into roadblocks accessing grant or financing through a bank, Access will work with you. So low credit, no credit, or just are having bad luck in working with the banks, Access is who you want to connect with. Futurepreneur Canada, again, it's a loan program of up to $60,000, but they do provide mentoring and support throughout the term of your loan. Futurepreneur is an organization that will provide financing to individuals 18 years of age to 39. So basically a young entrepreneur program designed specifically to provide low interest loans and mentoring to young entrepreneurs. And Futurepreneur is actually participating in 2 webinars that we're hosting next week. The first one being how to write a plan that you'll actually use. That is next Tuesday, November the 17th from 10:30 to 12, and you can access the link to register for that on our website. They're also running a Futurepreneur financing info session next Thursday from 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. So it's just an hour-long session, and it goes through specifically the Futurepreneur financing program and how you can take advantage of that particular program. Rise Asset Development is an organization based out in Mississauga, but they provide financing and loans of up to $10,000 to aspiring entrepreneurs and businesses in the Greater Toronto area. Rise Asset has some really unique programs, again, specifically for people that identify as having a mental health challenge. They have specific programs to help finance if, let's say, you're looking at participating in an event or a market and you need just a small fraction of cash to kind of help cover some of the costs involved in participating in an event. So they do have some really interesting programming that comes with loan financing through Rise Asset. Starter Company Plus and Summer Company are the 2 provincial grant programs that we run in Brampton for Brampton-based entrepreneurs. So Starter Company Plus is a training and mentoring program over 12 weeks that provides a possible grant of up to $5,000. Apply to our Starter Company Plus program, you're basically committing to participating in 12 weeks of intensive training and mentoring. There is some homework. And then at the end of the training, you will submit a business plan that gets evaluated and critiqued by a grant committee. And the top business plans or top ideas then become eligible for a $5,000 grant. Now, this is a unique program in that it really is one of the only programs that exists right now in Ontario where the government is just giving money to help them get business off the ground. Starter Company Plus also provides grant funding to those that might already be in business, that might need training and mentoring and a small cash injection of $5,000 to help them scale and grow their business. Or maybe it's maybe the funding is needed to help you pivot your operations. So our funding for 2020 is currently all allocated. We will be rolling out our Starter Company Plus program in 2021, most likely probably in March. But it is a great program for anyone that is running a business in Brampton or thinking about starting a business in Brampton that's really looking to access training and mentoring with an opportunity to receive a grant of $5,000. And I guess the other important thing to note with Starter Company is that this program is for anyone over the age of 18 that's looking at starting and running a full-time business. So if you're looking at starting something on the side, this particular program probably is not for you. not meet the eligibility requirements. Summer Company is another provincial grant program that we run. This program we've been running since 2001. Summer Company is a youth entrepreneurship experience that provides grants of up to $3,000 to students between the ages of 15 and 29 that are thinking about starting a business during the summer when they're on summer break. So this past summer, we ran a cohort. We had 11 students take part in our program. They received training and mentorship at the start of the summer. They had to submit a business plan. They had to explain how they were going to run and operate their business over the summer. And then we provided them with two $1,500 grants. So they get $1,500 at the start and $1,500 at the end. The reason for that is that first $1,500 must be used to help get the business off the ground. So you would use that money to help you purchase the things that you needed to get the business up and running. And then at the end of the summer, as a reward for their hard work, they receive an additional grant of $1,500. So this is a really amazing opportunity for any young people that you might know. Perhaps you have children or a friend, or maybe we do have some young entrepreneurs or aspiring entrepreneurs on tonight's webinar. Summer Company is a really amazing opportunity to give you that hands-on experience, real world, get down and dirty and learn all about what's involved in getting a business off the ground. So many of our students that were in our program have come back to us many years later to say that, they learned more about business through the experience of running their own business through Summer Company than they ever did in any business course that they took in college, university, or even high school. So that real world experience is so important, and it really gives these young people a leg up, especially when they're looking at employment maybe down the road. When they can say that they ran their own business on a resume, it's definitely going to help them stand out against other young people. So Summer Company, Starter Company, 2 provincial grant programs that we run in Brampton. They are programs that are offered all across the province of Ontario. So you definitely just need to check with the small business center in the location that you live or plan on operating your business to learn more about the program in that area. There's a group in Peel called the Halton Workforce Development Group, and they have some really great resources available on their website. Again, this is all tied to financing or funding that you might be able to receive through some of these wage subsidy and training programs. So another great place to go if you're looking for additional information related to hiring supports. So I know it's 8:45. I promise we will get through the next couple slides quickly because I'm sure there are a number of questions that are coming in, and I want to make sure that we're able to answer them all. So you definitely need to determine your business structure. So when you're thinking about starting a business in Ontario, you want to consider whether or not you want to set up your business as a sole proprietorship, a general partnership, or an incorporated company. And every single business structure obviously has its advantages and disadvantages. Sole proprietorships and general partnerships are the 2 simplest and inexpensive ways of getting a business started or registered in the province of Ontario. So when you're looking at registering a sole proprietorship or general partnership, you're actually registering it with the province of Ontario. It is a simple, easy process to go through Service Ontario. You have the option of registering online or in person. Like I said, simple, inexpensive, $60 to register the name, $8 to do a name search. With sole proprietorships, that's when the business is being operated as one owner operator, whereas with a general partnership, obviously, you're going to have more than one person involved in the business. Simple, easy. Unfortunately, with sole proprietorships and general partnerships, that business becomes linked to you personally. So should you not obtain insurance, If you decide not to get proper contracts and agreements with potential customers, in the event something were to go wrong in the business and someone were to go after the business, they actually are going after you personally, because sole proprietorships and partnerships, 100% of the risk and responsibility falls on the owner of the business. When you incorporate a business, incorporating a business means that it's like a new baby being born into the world. So when you're looking at incorporating, although it is more expensive, there is limited liability to you as the owner, in the sense that it becomes its own entity. You and your personal assets are protected should something happen. That being said, when you are starting a business, in many cases, a sole proprietorship or general partnership registration is really all you need. There are no additional advantages as a startup business, as a sole proprietorship or partnership. You're really not taking advantage of some of those tax incentives or advantages until the business is making a substantial income. If you speak to a lawyer about when it's time to incorporate, they will push incorporation on you right away because they're concerned with liability. If you were to speak to an accountant or a tax professional, they will definitely recommend that when you're starting out, it probably makes the most sense financially to just register as a sole proprietorship or partnership. It's simple, it's easy, you're not going to take advantage of any tax advantages, and you're not having to deal with the burden of paperwork that can sometimes come with incorporating. It is a personal choice. There is no right or wrong way of determining your business structure. It's something that you are going to want to probably dive into a little bit further and maybe have some conversations with accountants or lawyers to get some advice or feedback as to what they think. But like I said, in most cases, as a startup business, you're probably going to want to look at a sole proprietorship or general partnership. The great news is that you can change your business structure to an incorporation down the road. So in the event that your business gets up and running, you're generating lots of income and revenue, you might want to look at setting up another location. If you are working with a professional like an accountant, they will let you know from a tax perspective when it will make sense for you to look at incorporating. For anyone that's maybe looking at learning a little bit more about this from a financial side, we do have a webinar available on our YouTube account, and I can, in the chat box, I will put the link. But if you just do a search for Brampton Economic Development, we do have a channel through the Economic Development account for the Brampton Entrepreneur Center, and we did just host a really great webinar series with MNP, and one of the was tax sense, so really helping you understand the different business structures. And then we also ran a webinar on incorporating your business. So those two webinars were actually pre-recorded, and there's some really great information in there. Again, if you're looking for a little bit more information, or you just want to chat about specifically maybe some of the advantages and disadvantages, send us an email, book a consultation. Our advisors would be happy to go through it with you. In terms of registering your business, you do have a couple of options. It can be done very easily online. Unfortunately, in-person service right now is not available due to COVID, so everything is basically being moved to the online platform. If you're looking at setting up a sole proprietorship or general partnership, you can register online through serviceontario.ca, and you can easily set up the registration. The information it will ask you is the name of the business, the type of business or industry, who the owners are, their home address, and an address for the business. There will be a couple other questions to help you set up accounts like WSIB, employer health tax, that kind of thing, but it really shouldn't take more than 10 minutes. If you register your business online during the operating hours of 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, it's actually an instant business registration, and you will receive an instant master business license. This master business license is what you will need to take to the bank if you ever plan on opening up any business bank account. And this is something that a lot of business owners don't realize that they do. So I'm going to give you another example. We had a client that registered a business. Let's say it was Joe's Cleaning Company. He ended up doing some business for some local businesses and providing janitorial services. Those companies provided him with a check to Joe's Cleaning Service, and he went to try to deposit them into his personal banking account, and he wasn't able to. So he ended up having to take that master business license, go back to the bank, open up that separate business bank account so that he's able to cash those checks. So if you are planning on operating a name other than your own personal name, 100% under the Business Names Act, you need to register it. And once you've done that, you will get that master business license, and that will give you the ability to open up all the different banking accounts that you need. You can definitely hire a professional to do it for you. There's also a number of online service providers that provide the service on your behalf. Obviously, you are going to be paying the government fees, so $60 to register a sole proprietorship or general partnership, or you might end up paying a little bit more if it's a filing fee for an incorporation. Owner, which is a service provider through RBC, does offer simple and cost-effective incorporation services. You can also incorporate your business yourself through OnCorp, ONCORP, is a service provider that's been actually contracted out by the government to offer incorporation services. Lastly, just want to talk a little bit about business planning. And as I mentioned earlier, we do have a session taking place next Tuesday, specifically on writing a business plan. It is an hour-and-a-half long webinar. So as you can imagine, I'm just going to cover high-level information as to why you need a business plan. So if you're looking to kind of, learn more about the process of writing a business plan and what specifically you are going to need, I highly encourage registering for the free session that's taking place next. So what is a business plan? What are they? Why do you need one? I like to think of a business plan like a roadmap. So if you're planning a big trip somewhere, let's say I wanted to drive down to Florida, obviously maybe post-COVID or once this is all over, I would never just hop in my car and drive south with the hope of eventually getting to Florida. I'm going to, pull out a map. I'm going to do my research. I'm going to plot out, where I'm going to stop along the way, the best route to get me there in the fastest amount of time. So a business plan is basically that. It's a roadmap for your business. It's going to help you get to where you are right now, which is probably just in your head, to where you want to see the business in the next 3 to 5 years. Another important thing to remember is that a business plan is not something that you're going to write today and never look at again. It is an important document that you are constantly going to be revising and updating as things change in your business. We always say that an idea isn't a business until you get that business idea down on paper. It's going to help you get all those ideas that you have down in a formalized document that, again, you can use to take to a bank, to use as part of your grant application to a program like Starter Company or Summer Company. Business plans are going to help you figure out a game plan for success. It's going to help you explore a lot of those what-if scenarios. It'll help eliminate the risk, which is one of the reasons why banks 100% want to see a business plan. They want to know that the business has potential to generate revenue, because at the end of the day, the banks just want money back. The other great thing about business plans is that it's going to help you set goals, and it's going to help you stay on track and on task with achieving those. The business plan basically is going to describe the future path of your business, and there are many ways that you can write a business plan. However, one of the best places to start is what I like to call a brain dump. So it's basically getting all those ideas and thoughts that you have for your business just down on paper. Like I said, it is a work in progress. You're not going to write a business plan and it's going to be, you're never going to look at it again. You're always going to be updating, and it's something that you're going to want to look at updating regularly, and potentially even setting some time aside every couple of months to make sure that you're on track. Many business plans are written to prove why a business idea will work, but a effective business plan should focus on how your business idea is going to work. This is a much more practical way that will serve the entrepreneur better in the long run. There are basically a couple key areas or parts of a business plan, and recognizing that there are a number of different free tools available to you, as well as business plan templates to help you write that business plan. So while the information is all the same, the format or how they identify those fundamentals might be a little different. One of the great tools that Megan was mentioning that the library has through the library card is access to business plan handbooks. And that is definitely one of the first things that you should do when you're thinking about writing a business plan, is that if you have no idea what a plan looks like, is to view some sample business plans to get an idea of the structure, how they're laid out, and what type of information you're going to need. Obviously, the executive summary is one of the first things that you read when you are reviewing someone's business plan. But although it's the first thing that you read in a plan, it's the last thing that you're going to prepare. Think of your executive summary as basically a summary of all the other important key parts of your plan. You're definitely going to want to look at developing a company profile, and this is basically like you're listing all your products and services. It's the section that addresses what you're offering, what your company is about, and who are the key individuals behind it. Market research is obviously very important, which is one of the reasons we run specific seminars that focus just on market research. But the market research section will include things like who are your competitors and who your target market is. In terms of marketing and sales, the section addresses how to gain customers with the specific marketing activities identified to accomplish those. In terms of operations, this is around basically how you're going to keep customers and how the day-to-day operations of just running your business are going to take place. In terms of human resources, this particular section is really going to look at if you do plan on hiring. So what your hiring needs are going to be, who are the individuals that are going to work for you or with you to support you on this journey. And then the last part, which is often the most dreaded part of any business plan, is finance. And not all of us are numbers people. Numbers can sometimes be very overwhelming and difficult, which is why if it's something that you're unsure of, attend some seminars and webinars or training, or access the support of a bookkeeper or an accountant to help you put together the financials for your business. But in a business plan that you submit to a bank or to a lender or for a grant program, you're going to want to look at making sure that you have cash flow projections for 3 to 5 years. You're also going to want to include an income statement as well as a balance sheet for your business. So in terms of next steps, we strongly encourage you to discuss your ideas with mentors, with potential customers, with friends, with family, with our team at the Brampton Entrepreneur Center. You should never be afraid of talking about your idea, because if you think about business ideas as a whole, no business idea is truly 100% unique. Everybody is running something obviously that's unique or solves a unique problem, but there's obviously different variations of every business idea, so you never have to worry necessarily about someone going and stealing the idea. It's always good to speak to as many people as you can about your idea. This is going to be a really great opportunity for you to gather feedback, and who knows, they might be able to connect you with somebody that can support you or might have some really good insight into the industry. We strongly recommend that you book a consultation with one of our BEC staff. Like I said earlier, you can go to brampton.ca/skip the line and look for the Center services. It's here where you can book a 30-minute consultation with one of our business advisors to really talk about next steps in your journey. We encourage you to attend as many business seminars, read as many business books, blogs, access those free resources available through the library. I believe there's some seminars and sessions that you can watch through, I think it's Linda, or maybe it's LinkedIn, I believe has some really great videos that you can watch on just about anything related to business. And then the last tip is to begin writing your business plan. And one of the best places to start is to invest in a notebook and just start to dump those ideas that you have in your head down on paper, and then find a business plan template through one of the partners, whether that be through BDC, Futurepreneur, or one of the banks, to really help you gather and organize your thoughts that you have down on paper into an actual formalized business plan that you will be able to submit to a potential lender. So it is just 8 o'clock, and I would like to open it up for questions. I'm sure there were definitely some questions that came through.
Yeah, thanks, Jennifer. That was here. I'll start my video as well. That was great. So much information. Thank you so much. There's a few questions in the chat. Anybody else who has some, please feel free to put them in, or when we're finished, just unmute yourself and ask. So this is from the same participant. They asked, would you recommend reference materials, PDFs, books, booklets, websites on starting and operating a business in Ontario, Canada? They might cover information on various regulations to accounting tips. And then it's a 3-part question. 2, okay. Would you recommend books and references with businesses and legal forms / templates, such as work, quotations, contract forms, disclaimers, etc., for a Canadian or international business based in Canada? And 3, for example, how does a director of a corporation decide her or his personal income?
Great question.
Do you see that in the chat, Jennifer?
Yes,
do you want to look at it to be able to break it down?
So first off, in terms of reference materials, utilize the library. So if you don't have a library card, you absolutely need to get one. They are free to get as long as you are a resident of Brampton.
Actually, as long as you're a resident of Ontario, you can get one. And I posted a link to get an online card. If you just scroll up in the chat, it's there.
Great. So I'm sure the library has a ton of books that you can borrow, or audiobooks. If you're looking for reference materials specific to opening a business in Ontario or Canada, Canada Business will most definitely be your best resource. They have, like I said, thousands of documents translated in a number of different languages, and they have it all broken down by specific topic. They also have some really interesting how-to guides. So they don't have a how-to guide for every type of business that you might be interested in starting, but basically what they've done is looked at kind of the top industries that people are kind of exploring right now, and developed some really great how-to guides specific to specific industries. So how to start a restaurant, how to start a senior or personal care service, how to start a pet business. So there's some really great information available through canadabusiness.ca. Also on our website, we've developed a guide for starting a business in Brampton. And again, it kind of dives a little bit deeper into some of the areas that we covered this evening, but more of a focus on starting a business in Brampton. So that might be something. And 2, for any of you that are not located in Brampton, please reach out to us. We can help connect you with a small business center in an area closest to you, and they'll definitely be able to help. Would you recommend reference materials? Sorry, there we go. Would you recommend books and references with business and legal forms. Yes, there is a publication called Standard Legal Forms and Agreements. I'm not sure if the library has it in their circulation, but it is a book that you can easily purchase through Chapters or Amazon. Standard Legal Forms and Agreements is written by a Canadian publishing company. And one of the great things about it is that this book is filled with standard contracts, disclaimers, work quotations, you name it. Any type of legal agreement that a small business might need is available through the Standard Legal Forms and Agreements book. So you can either, if you're getting a copy of that book from the library, there might be a DVD or CD included with that book, and that way you can download those templates into Word or PDF, and then that way it's an actual template that you can use to basically modify the specific agreement that you need or form to meet your needs. So that one is called Standard Legal Forms and Agreements. I'm just going to...
I just looked and it looks like we have a missing copy. It's from 2002, but there might be, is there a newer version of that? I would think that there would be.
Yes, I believe
So
there is.
our interlibrary loan service was just restarted. So if that's a request, I'm just putting the interlibrary loan link in the chat. So if you, or if you're seeing this recording later, you can just Google Brampton Library interlibrary loans, and it could be something that we could get for you.
Perfect. And in terms of your third question, how does a director of a corporation decide his or her personal income? That's actually part of a bigger conversation. So what I would encourage you to do is reach out to us via email at bec@brampton.ca. That's bec@brampton.ca, and we can definitely help you answer that question as best we can, recognizing that we're not accounting experts. Nobody on our team is an actual accountant, so we want to make sure that we're providing you with the right advice. We might even connect you with one of our the accounting firms that we work with, MNP, to have one of their accountants follow up with you on that.
Great. There's some more questions that have come through. So let me just scroll here. So the next question is, do low risk food products, which could be home based, require commercial kitchen? Example, tea.
Tea. So if you are importing tea into Canada, let's say, and you are reselling it, that technically could be done from home. Where you might run into issues is actually with the home-based business bylaw, in that it states that you can only keep products that you are selling in your home that have been made or produced on site. So it's kind of a two-part answer. If you were, let's say, packaging tea out of your house, so you were buying tea leaves and making blends, there might be regulations that require you to do that food packaging in a sterile environment. If you just want to send us an email, we can connect you with the Region of Peel to get some clarification on that. My guess is that yes, anything food related, anytime you're doing anything, whether it's packaging food, should be done in a commercially inspected kitchen.
Okay, great. Thank you. So the next question, well, first this person said, thank you very much for your time and great presentation. The question is, would many of the licensing, certifications, and legal aspects apply for one looking to start an online business?
So I guess it really depends on the type of online business. So, depending on the type of product or service that you do plan on selling online. there could be licensing or certifications that you need to adhere to. So without knowing specifically what type of online business or the types of products and services you're selling, it would be difficult to answer. If that's not something that you're comfortable typing into the chat, I would encourage you again to reach out to us and we can have a conversation directly with you about that.
Okay, great. So the next question, we just want a clarification on that book, and the person was wondering if it was published in 2005. If you reach out to us through interlibrary loan, we can look into what the latest version is and try to get a copy of that if you just leave that in the notes. Do you have anything else to add to that, Jennifer?
Yeah, no, I believe there was an edition of the Self-Counsel Press Standard Legal Forms, I think that was produced in the last couple of years, but I would imagine that any standard legal form or contract, I don't think much has probably changed. So even if you are able to access the book that was published in 2002, I would imagine most of it is probably very similar to a recently published book. Unfortunately, our office is closed. We do have a copy on site. If there is a specific contract that you're looking for, please reach out to us at bec@brampton.ca, because we actually have all the sample agreements in Word format available to email out to clients. I would just need to know specifically what types of contracts or agreements you're looking for, and I can easily email that out to you if accessing a copy of the book is not something that you're able to do.
Okay, thank you. So the next question is, can a mental health private practice be home-based?
Great question. Yes, there are certain types of healthcare practices that can be run from the home. You will definitely want to connect with our zoning department just to ensure that you are adhering to all the rules. So I know that because we just had this question, there was somebody that asked about physiotherapy. So yes, they could run a physiotherapy, but there are specific rules around where that practice can take place in the house. And it also depends on whether or not you own the home versus if you are a renter. So if you are renting a house, you're actually not technically allowed to run a business from home. You must be the owner of the home in order to be able to run a business from home. The other thing you also need to take into consideration is whether or not your house is semi-detached or a fully detached house. That can also play into what you can and cannot do. So again, reach out to us or connect with zoning directly, and they can provide you with specific guidelines related to a mental health private practice.
Okay, so the next question, I'm thinking of starting a wine club. Are there certain licenses I would need to attain in order to ship alcohol? I would like to think yes, I just don't know how to go about it.
Great question, Ryan. Alcohol sales in Ontario are regulated through the Alcohol and Gaming Commission. So actually, if you go to the Alcohol and Gaming Commission website, I believe there is specific information around subscription-based service related to the sale of wine, and that would be who you would need to get approval through in order to be able to do that. So the Alcohol and Gaming Commission of Ontario is who regulates the sale of alcohol. And like I said, there's probably some good information on that site. Again, if you're unable to find specifically the answer that you're looking for, reach out to us and we will help find that answer for you.
Okay, and then somebody just asked what the name of the YouTube channel is for access to this video in the future. It's the Brampton Library YouTube channel. And also, if you like Brampton Library on Facebook, then this is being live streamed right now. And after we stop the live stream, it will stay there as a recording on our video. So you can access it there immediately. And then later on, we'll upload it to YouTube. So the next question, I'm thinking of starting, oh wait, no, I read that one. I want to start a makeup artist business, which is mobile, but also clients can come to my home. So I am not sure, should I register it as a home business or mobile?
So when you're registering a business through Service Ontario, what you're doing is just registering the name. So what you would do is you would register the name of the business, and then in terms of the business address, you would just end up using a home address, most likely for the business address. In terms of makeup application, you're definitely going to want to connect with the licensing department to ensure that you do not require the personal services license. I know that there's a bit of gray area around it, and for makeup artistry, you might not have to obtain that license, but is obviously good to do your due diligence just to double check. If you have any issues in getting the information, again, reach out to us and we'd be happy to help you find the answer to that question.
Okay, so the next question is actually a follow-up from the previously asked one. The person who asked, would many of the licensing certifications and legal aspects apply for one looking to start an online business? And the person, sorry, now I have to scroll down to the
No worries.
later one. They said, regarding my last question, I want to start writing books and start a publishing company to publish my own books. Does that change your answer at all, Jennifer?
Sorry, I was just typing in the zoning phone number because I just remembered it. So in terms of anything related to zoning, related to home-based business, you want to understand the Home-Based Business Bylaw Act, you can reach out to zoning at 874-2090. I've entered in the phone number in the chat, and somebody in bylaw should be able to get back to you with the information. And then related to publishing.
Yeah, that was related to the online business question. So okay. More specifically, it's to start a publishing company so this person can publish their own books.
Yeah, so there would be no licensing required, no additional licensing, no certification or anything like that.
Okay, and then this, I think this one was sent to me privately. I don't think you can see it. I think, hold on, let me just scroll up to see if that's, yeah, so this is about the makeup artist business, another follow-up. Okay. They said, I will be providing hair design services with makeup to my bridal clients. So does that come under a different category?
Yeah, so they basically, in the last couple of years, they've lumped everything under that personal services license. So tattoo parlors, piercing, hair, makeup, personal esthetician services, all of that falls under that one license. So I would recommend connecting with our licensing department. You can also email them at clerks@brampton.ca. and they can send you the documentation that you'll need in order to obtain that particular license. So as I mentioned earlier, because it's a mobile business, they would probably give you an exemption related to zoning. In terms of insurance, obviously you're going to need to get that. And then they will most likely, if you're just doing like hair updos and not actually cutting hair, you probably would not need to provide them with any type of like certification to show that you are a trained makeup and hair artist. That would be specifically for people that were providing like tattoos or piercings. There might be specific certification that you need.
Okay, so the person who was talking about the mental health business, yeah. They said you stated we reach out to the zoning department, and then you posted the number. So I think that answers that question, but just let me know if you need more clarification. Yeah. So the next question after that is, would a pop-up shop be classified as a different classification of business?
No, but again, it depends on where you're planning on running your pop-up shop and the types of products that you were looking at selling.
So it sounds like a lot of these answers kind of like circle back to please feel free to email Brampton Entrepreneur Center
that is honestly the best because every situation is so unique. And there could be a number of variables. So one of the best things that you can do is reach out to us directly, or like I said, book a free consultation with one of our business advisors. That's what we do. We help you navigate. If you are unable to get the answer that you need from one of our government partners at the provincial or federal level. So Ryan, in regards to your question related to the wine club, no doubt, I'm sure you're probably really struggling in getting any type of information from the Alcohol and Gaming Commission. So definitely reach out to us, because one of the things that we can do is use our internal contacts to help you connect with the right individual at the AGCO to ensure that you're getting the right information and not being sent on a wild goose chase.
Great. So I think we answered all of the questions, just a bunch of people saying thank you very much. Let me just double check. No questions on Facebook. So unless anybody has some pressing questions, you can feel free to unmute yourself to ask. But otherwise, thanks so much, Jennifer. This was so informative, and I can tell by the engaged questions that folks got a lot out of it.
It's a lot to cover in an hour. We've explored running this as like 10 steps to getting your business started, but we recognize that starting a business is such a big topic. And while we would love to cover every single situation and example, or be able to cover and give you examples of every type of business, it is very difficult. And that's why one of the great services that we offer is that free consultation, where you can actually sit down and just ask all the questions that you have to one of our advisors. And if we don't know the answer, we definitely know somebody in our network who does. And we can just help make sure that all your questions are answered and you're being directed in the right way, rather than being sent on a wild goose chase and feeling overwhelmed and confused by the sheer volume of information. So there's lots of great information out there. And I guess just lastly, I just really want to emphasize the point that the government is here to support you and help you. We have a lot of great resources available to you. You should never, ever have to pay for any of that. You should never have to pay to access listings of different grant programs that are available to you. So I would strongly encourage that if there's something that you see online that you're questioning, or somebody is asking you for money, especially nowadays during COVID, there's just so many cyber scams happening. Reach out to us. We can either provide you with the information at no charge, or verify that the information that you're obtaining is in fact correct and from a legitimate source.
Right, totally.
Yeah. We're seeing it now more and more with COVID, is that there's a lot of cybercrime happening and a lot of people are being taken advantage of. And we definitely do not want that to happen to any of our clients, or really anyone for that matter. So if you're unsure about something, just reach out. Our team is here to help you all the time. So never feel bad about asking a question. There's no bad question. We love questions. We love working with entrepreneurs. So
Jennifer, I know that there's a lot of people here who are calling in from other places, out of town, out of country even. And would you be receptive to people emailing you to ask what community resources are around them?
100%. So if you're unsure or you're unable to find a small business center in the area that you live, please reach out to us and we can definitely help you connect with the right organization that can help you with your ideas, help you with your questions, and ensure that you're accessing the support that you need locally.
That's wonderful. Well, thank you so much.
All right, thanks, everyone. Have a wonderful night.
Have a great night, everybody, and yes, stay safe.
Take care. Bye.